I think we're on the air. Why is this not working? Is this YouTube maybe? Did I have this on YouTube? I thought we were on Twitch. YouTube. No?
So it's not working on YouTube?
Oh, there we go. I thought we were on Twitch, and we are. Okay.
So it's not working on YouTube? So it's not working on YouTube?
All right. Okay. Twitch.tv/updog. Let's see who all has joined our podcast channel. Oh, RBD's here. RBD, you here?
I think I'm going in and out.
Oh, you sound a little muffled.
I think Sean has ruined these headsets.
Oh, no.
These are his Fortnite headsets, and yeah, he will jump up and down while playing, and I don't think that's been good on the mic.
You sound better. Let's see. Podcast. AFL team
They all
selection.
sound bad on my end. Let me go see if I can swap out.
AFL team selection podcast is live. Echo. All right, let me see what I got going on here. Okay, work headset. Try that. Okay. I don't think I need that. That might actually have fixed it. So I'm gonna see what Danny says. Okay, so yeah, I had two audio sources for myself, my headset and Discord. Who else do I have in here right now with me? Sham, you here?
Yeah, sir.
All right. Let's see if Danny can hear you. Magic is on his way, and then we'll get started.
Probably out poaching somebody else's girlfriend.
Or wife.
Listen, with him, you never know.
All right. He says you sound good. So that means everybody else will sound good as long as you guys sound good to me. Going through sound check. So if you guys are listening, just hold tight for 1 second. Magic is attempting to get in.
When isn't he always trying to get in?
He's always trying to get it in.
No Stokes tonight?
I thought Stokes was coming, but he's kind of a wild card ever since he got on the semi-married life.
Hey guys.
What's up, Magic?
Who's on the semi-married life?
Stokes. Sham said no Stokes tonight, and I was kind of laughing at the idea that we would hear from Stokes right away when we ask if anybody's ready. Whoa. All right, you guys ready to roll? We'll just go with who we got.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to go back and make sure I have chat open. Somebody's starting a chainsaw in the background.
I'll close the window. 1 second.
All right. I need to close out of that, close out of my Twitch. All right, so I'm going to have chat open. I'm not going to be keeping a real close eye on it because I got to make sure all the background stuff for the podcast is working. So if one of you could keep an eye on chat, and if for whatever reason, if we fall off air and some people are going nuts, just let me know and I'll figure out what's going on. But this is the Team Selection Podcast number 1. We are going to be revealing 8 teams tonight. And first thing I want to do is make sure I have that correct graphic up. I do. That's a win. We are going to be revealing the New York Giants, Carolina Panthers, LA Rams, Chicago Bears, LA Chargers, Tennessee Titans, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Miami Dolphins. On this adventure with me tonight, as always, is Magic. What's going on, Magic?
Hey guys.
Back from, I think, podcast number one, skipped the last podcast. Sham, welcome back, Sham.
What's up, fellas?
And then last but not least, we have RVD, first podcast of the year. What's up, RVD?
I don't think you can hear me.
I got you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect. All right,
Oh,
RVD
look at
is
that.
using a headset. Many of us can relate to this. He thinks his son has broken it during Fortnite Rage. So if his sound goes on and off during the podcast, just understand that. So RVD has been kind of the gatekeeper of all this list stuff. As many of you know, you submitted your list to him and he organized it. And I kind of want to talk about the process, but another value to RVD tonight is as we go through these teams, we have some facts on these teams as far as how they rated on the lists. But guys, we need to talk about this process. I think anytime something doesn't go as expected, there are a lot of people at fault. And I think the first fingers we need to point blame to are the commish team. I think we could have handled it better from a communication standpoint of what teams we were using. I think we could have handled it better from a communication standpoint of, hey, we told you guys to kind of stay away from the Chiefs and the Ravens, and you did. But then what happened was you guys all flocked to the same 6 or 7 teams, creating a log jam that made it very difficult for us to make sure that everybody walked away with a team on their list. Um, I'm going to say that at the outset, our priority was we want to make sure everybody gets the top team on their list and then work our way down. As it went along, our priority became we want to make sure we get as many people a team on their list as possible. There are going to be examples as we go through this process where an owner gets a team that was rated 4th or 5th on his list, and somebody else gets that same. Or I'm sorry, yeah, and somebody else um, gets a team that was rated 4th or 5th on their list, and that same owner had the team that they didn't get rated higher. It's just we had to make the numbers work. We had to make it all gel. There were 4 people that didn't get a team on their list. We are going to talk about that right now. The 4 teams that weren't accounted for in this process, one of which is tonight. You know what? I'm not going to go into that right now because there's still a couple balls in the air. But I'm going to say this. One of the teams we're going to get into is tonight is the Steelers. If you didn't get a team on your list so far, I said there's some balls in the air. That there may be some more messages that go out in the next couple days. If you've gotten a message from us, it means you didn't get a team on your list. We have put in an equalizer for that because the assumption is if you didn't get a team on your list, you're getting a lesser team. So one of the teams that wasn't on that went unclaimed was the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are going tonight to an owner who didn't get a team on their list. To make up for that, we are giving whoever gets the Steelers one development upgrade of anybody on their roster. So if somebody comes in as a star, they can make them a superstar. If they're a superstar, they can make them a superstar X Factor. If they're normal and want to make them a star, they can. They get one development upgrade. Now, we looked at the teams that went unclaimed and we tried to make the judgment for how many upgrades they get based on how good the teams are. We considered the Steelers to be a pretty good team, so one upgrade seemed like a pretty significant amount for them. There are going to be teams as we go down the line who get more upgrades. It's a way to kind of balance the playing field because nobody wants to start with such a disadvantage of a roster that it's not fun. So that's our way to try to make it even. Now, nobody's going to get 10 development upgrades. I think the most we may do is 3. Right now, I think 2 is the highest we've talked about. Again, somebody's making fun of me in chat for saying balls in the air a lot. That another thing that we're still, no, it's Magic. Shout out to Magic.
Hey
That's
guys.
that's kind of where we're at. So I really enjoyed this process. I enjoy it all the time. Every time we're done with it, though, I always have that whole I'd never want to do lists again thing. But I think the pros still do outweigh the cons. But I do want to say that as a commish team, we could have done better, and I think it's a good learning opportunity for us. And I'm going to take that blame because I'm the one that came up with the whole process, and I'm the main person that does the communicating, so that's on me. I feel bad for people that avoided certain teams because they thought certain owners were going to get them. Danny has his predictions in tonight. He says Costa's getting the Giants, Kimmy's getting the Panthers, Justin's getting the Rams, Bears have no owner, The Chargers go to Lara. Dolphins get Pepe. Steelers and Roman, and we'll see who he says for the Bears. So, guys, are you ready to roll and reveal our first team, or does anybody have anything else they want to say about this process?
Nope.
I think the only thing that I want to add with the process is that guys just need to remember that it's not about getting everyone their number one team. It's about getting as many people as possible a team on their list.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that in my whole. We all need to have accountability. That's where I'm going to throw it back to some of the guys in this league. Um, some of you have been here too long to turn in some of the lists you turn in. We had somebody quit because he didn't get a team on his list. His list was laughable. Let's just be honest. And I'm not even going to hide it from. I mean, we'll just tell you guys. SJR quit. SJR quit because he didn't get a team on his list. We can sugarcoat it and act like he got busy, but he quit because he didn't get a team on his list. And the original list he turned in had Kansas City at 4 and Baltimore at 5. We specifically told you not to put Kansas City or Baltimore below 1 because it wouldn't work. When I messaged him, his reasoning was, oh, I figured if I put the 2 stacked teams at 4 and 5, it would better my odds to get a team at 1, 2, or 3. Okay, that's great. That's a very strategical way to help you get a team you want and make it harder on us to fill it. And it didn't work out. We made him submit a different list. His next list was not much better. And he decided he didn't want to be in AFL, and we decided that's probably the best decision for everybody involved. So, yeah, so this has been a fun process. All right, guys, let's.
His,
I've spoken to like at least one person. I think I spoke with you about him too, Josh. He pretty much had I know West had his thought process, was pretty solid. I mean, he's a long-standing member in the league. He hasn't
Mhm,
been in a couple of years, but his thought process wasn't, what we told people not to do, i.e., what SJR did.
mhm.
So, you know,
Yeah, yeah. West's list was definitely one of the when we saw it, we was like, okay, he gets it. He understands how this process works. Speaking of West, there are 4 letters in the name West. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a spoiler alert to tonight. If there's 4 letters in your name and what we refer to you as, there's a good chance we're going to talk about you tonight. That's a little spoiler alert. But guys, let's talk about our first team that we're going to reveal tonight on this podcast. The Miami Dolphins. All right, now you see that little MS rank, number 24 up in the upper left-hand corner. That stands for Madden School Rank. For those of you that are unfamiliar, I am going to link this article in chat right now. It came out on Madden School yesterday, and what they did was they ranked for franchise mode, which is the mode we're playing, 1 through 32 on starting points. I don't agree with all of their rankings, but I don't think anybody could ever agree on a list of 1 to 32, but I think it's a very good conversation piece, especially for what we're doing tonight. So the 24th ranked team on our list. I honestly thought that was a little bit low, because one thing you have to remember about the Dolphins is they have a bounty of picks. When they traded Tunzel away, they had 2 first-round picks this year, but they still have 2 first-round picks next year, which is going to be in the first draft we have in Madden. And I think with us having 2 advances per week, future picks may not be as valuable, but I think that first draft pick, that first year's draft is going to be super valuable, and they have 2 of them. They did draft Tua in the draft. They picked up Byron Jones in free agency, who is a superstar. He might be superstar X Factor. I'll have to check into that. But they have 2 of the better corners now in the league with Howard and Jones. They bolstered their D line with guys like Shaq Lawson, Kyle Van Noy. Let's see who New called out as their sleeper player. Okay, first name is such a good one to pronounce. Their sleeper player, according to Madden School, Noah Ibagnahi, is a rookie cornerback, I'll take your word for it, who has the tools to be a shutdown corner in the NFL. He's super athletic, and the best part is he is only 20 years old, so you should be able to progress him incredibly fast. All right, RVD, in this process, were the Miami Dolphins a popular team?
Overall, not really. Miami ended up on 4 total lists. Now, when you take those 4 lists, the spot that was most popular was the number 3 spot. Now, you have 11 teams that were listed less than Miami, and 16 teams were listed more than Miami. So I guess technically they're kind of right there in the middle. But when you look at that 4 total list, it doesn't look like many.
All right, now Magic. I know one thing that always ranks high with you is if you're going to pick a team, you have to consider a lot of things, but one thing you have to consider is uniform options. Where do the Miami Dolphins fall for you as far as a team that if you're going to lock horns with for an entire Madden cycle, what do you think of their uniform options?
They've got some interesting choices. I think those orange ones, they they might be the best you're going to get. Their teal-ish is off. It's not the right kind of shade of blue and green put together. But overall, they're bottom tier, kind of like they are on this Madden school list.
All right,
Kind
and so we found out that they were fairly popular, middle of the rank there. We're ranked 24th on Madden School. Danny is predicting it's going to go to Pepe. That would make sense because he is one of the Dolphins fans in this league. He might be the only Dolphin fan in this league. Guys, drum roll time. Let's find out who the owner is of the Miami Dolphins in AFL Madden 21, and it is. Look at Danny. He was right. It is Pepe. The Dolphins fan Pepe. RVD, he had them number one on his list, correct?
He did, yes.
All right, Sham, what do you think about Pepe getting the Dolphins?
I don't have a problem with them. They were on my list. I roster wise, I thought they made a lot of solid moves this past year. Maybe overpaying for a play like Howard. Like I thought that they contract wise, I mean, I don't know how it's going to play into Madden, but I just felt like um, they didn't make any bad moves this past year, this past off season. So yeah, and PP with them, well Pepe with them, call him PP. Pepe with them. Hey, listen, no better person. I mean, he's been begging for the past couple of years, and not to say it like in a bad way, but he's been kind of begging the past couple of years to get back in. Aside from last year being a down year for AFL, so it'd be, it's a good way for him to make his return.
On an owner talent level, Pepe is not somebody you think of as a annual playoff contender. He's a guy that maybe will make the playoffs once, maybe twice during a Madden cycle, if he plays to the level he has shown us in AFL's past. He'd taken a couple years off of Madden. He did bring it back in Madden 20 and joined PS4, and I don't believe he had any playoff seasons. I could be wrong in that. If he did, I don't think he made much noise once he got there. I like this fit for him. I'm going to make one quick comment, though, of a player that wasn't mentioned as far as their sleeper. I love a trade they made during the draft. They got Matt Breida from the San Francisco 49ers, the fastest running back in Madden, now that Corey Grant is no longer in the game. Let's pour one out for my hero, Corey Grant. But Matt Breida is a huge weapon for that offense, and they have some good weapons. It depends how quickly he can develop Tua. I like Jaceki as a tight end that you can develop pretty quickly. He has the skill set to be a very good tight end. You just have to work on those intangible attributes. So the number 24th ranked team on the Madden School rankings, Miami Dolphins, go to Pepe, a Miami Dolphins fan. Our first team is in the books for Madden 21. You guys ready to go on to the second team?
Yeah, buddy.
All right, so we did an AFC team. Let's go ahead and go to the NFC, and let's go to the NFC West and reveal the LA Rams. Now, we just talked about a team in the Dolphins who have 2 first-round picks in the first draft. The Rams are ranked 22nd on the Madden School rank, and I'm thinking part of that ranking probably has to do with the fact that they don't have any picks in the first draft in this Madden season because they're still paying for the trade they made for Jalen Ramsey. But the good news is for the Rams, they have Jalen Ramsey. They also have Aaron Donald. They also have Leonard Floyd. They also have Ekuban or whatever. Jason Witten on Monday Night Football pronounced his name weird, and now I can never get it out of my head how he said it, and it's just totally screwed up my ability to pronounce his name. Offensively, they did lose Brandon Cooks and Todd Gurley, some of the guys that made them a very attractive offense in years past. They drafted Cam Akers in the draft, who I believe has 90 speed. They still have Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods as decent wide receivers. Better probably in real life than Madden, but some consistent route runners. Cooper Kupp might be above 90 speed. Tyler Higbee and Everett are a very solid duo at tight ends. We already talked about Aaron Donald, who's probably the best defensive player in the game, a member of the 99 club. RVD, what do you think of the Rams overall?
I think overall you've got some pretty good pieces there to at least to start out with. Like you said, you've got Ramsey there, you've got Aaron Donald there. So right off the bat, you've got some top names there on the defense. The lack of picks normally would be an issue, but with us advancing 2 times a week, I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue. I don't like that they're losing Gurley, but I think players can make do.
All right, Magic, the uniforms for the Rams. I kind of like them. I think there's a lot to work with there. What do you think?
The ones that they had in St. Louis for some out. I really like those. The blue and light yellow, not a fan. So let's throw it back to the early 2000s, greatest show on turf, and make them sad because your offense is nowhere near that good.
All right, guys, we have, I think, one Rams fan in the league. It's Justin. Let's find out if Justin is the guy who gets the Rams. And spoiler alert, it is not because, guys, his name does not have 4 letters in it. But you know whose name does have 4 letters in it? Goof.
Hmm.
Goof, 4 letters, he gets the Rams. He is a Green Bay Packers fan. Goof is a guy who was with us back in Madden 11, in Madden 12, in Madden 13, and I want to say he made it to Madden 25. He did not switch over to PS4 with us when we switched over, and it's been a while since we talked to him. I reached out to him on PSN, super excited to have him back. One of my favorites just from the original AFL group, just a super nice guy, super easygoing guy, probably going to have some Madden rust when you think about somebody who is going to challenge to compete early on. But I know when he puts his mind to it, he can be very competitive in Madden. He made some deep playoff runs. I know he had an NFC title loss to Stop Cheesin back in Madden 13, back in Madden 13. He was always a guy that made the playoffs more often than not, but it's been a while. There could be some rust there. I see some guys talking in chat. I wanted to make sure that it's not anything about, oh, the show is falling apart, and it is not. So,
Is Goof the one who lost two NFC championships in the same season, or is that
no,
someone else?
that
Is
was
that
Mustang.
Mustang?
That was Mustang.
Oh,
That story, very quickly, Mustang had made it to the NFC title game with his Bengals, and then in the AFC title game, he made it to the AFC title game with his Bengals and lost to Joker's Broncos. And then in the NFC, Ridge's 49ers were playing Scott's Bears, and Scott rage quit the league because he wasn't up for an Owner of the Year award. So Ridge didn't want to play the computer, so Mustang's like, hey, I'll play. It's season 7. We're all closing up shop here. And then I think Mustang's the first guy in the history of Madden to lose the AFC and the NFC title game on the same day in the same league in the same season. It was amazing. Sham, what do you think about this fit with Goof in the Rams?
uh, Another good guy, was here with in the beginning. Great way to bring him back. I doubt he's a Rams. Is he a Rams fan?
No, he lives in LA though. That's probably why they were on his list.
Yeah.
Goof.
But no, it's just again another guy. I felt like deserved the team. I don't think I don't really think it would have mattered what team he got as long as he was back in the league. So yeah, fine by me. Solid move.
All right, the sleeper player on this roster, according to Madden School, is safety Terrell Burgess. It says it's a guy you'll want to focus train. He's only 21 years old, 72 overall, with 90 speed. Any experienced Madden player can see the potential in this guy. RVD, how popular were the Rams during this process?
The Rams were also only on 4 lists. There were a total of 7 teams that were listed 4 times, Rams and Dolphins both being 2 of those 7. Now, of those 4 lists, 2 owners had the Rams at the number 2 spot, and 2 owners had the Rams at the number 4 spot.
And I guess we should say this, that Goof had the Rams on his list. And to go back to our first team, which was Pepe, we did mention he had them on his list. So we're 2 for 2 with owners getting a team on his list. We have Pepe to the Dolphins and Goof to the Rams. All right, guys, let's stay in the NFC now and let's move down to the NFC South and the Carolina Panthers. I know Magic is super excited to talk about those jerseys, but we're gonna make him hold on for a second. The Madden School rank for the Panthers here, guys, is 21. This is one I definitely disagreed with them on. I think they have a very intriguing team. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is the guy that everybody wants to talk about in the 99 club. Super attractive player for an offense. But when you talk about Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, who is a superstar, speed at receiver, speed kills in Madden, and Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, 94, 95 speed, respectively. And then when you look on the defensive side of the ball, the defensive tackle they drafted, Brown, is superstar. And then the guy they drafted last year, Brian Burns, is not superstar. He was last year. He is star. But when you talk about a guy who compares favorably to Von Miller, the speed, the way his finesse moves and power moves for his age can develop him into an elite pass rusher. If you could ever get him to superstar, you can build him in to be your Von Miller. They've got a lot of speed in the secondary with guys like Dante Jackson. They drafted one of my favorite players in the real draft in Jeremy Chin out of Southern Illinois University. He's like a perfect Madden freak, and I believe that is who Madden School called out as their sleeper. In fact, it is rookie safety Jeremy Chin is the prototypical Madden safety. He's a large physical freak at 6'3" with good speed. I think his speed is 89 out of the box. He is the perfect defensive user in season one. I love the Panthers. And Magic, before we talk about who got the Panthers, why don't you talk about what uniform options that owner's going to have?
You got your blue pants, blue jersey. You got black. You got your white. You got, oh man, these might be the best jerseys in the league. It's hard to say because they're in the best division for jerseys in the league. But yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong.
What's interesting is, there's like some people that you feel like they could just make anything look cool. I feel like Cam Newton's one of those guys that like you could dress him up like a mailman and he'd make it look cool. So I've always kind of wondered, like, once he leaves the Panthers, are the uniforms just going to look a little less cool because they don't have this like 6'5" prototypical freak athlete of a quarterback? Are they gonna, are they gonna look less cool? And they don't have that anymore. They have Teddy Bridgewater. I think that they're legit though. I think the uniforms transcend even Cam Newton. I think that they are between the sky blue, the all blacks, the silver, the all white. There's combinations for days. And then when we start mix and matching, when you don't want to go all one color, you can mix and match the patch or pants colors, shirt colors, just a plethora of options. Now it's time to find out who is going to have those options. Any guesses in chat before we start revealing? I think Danny may have guessed earlier. Joker guessed Kimmy for the Panthers. Um, and Danny's guessing Kimmy. Let's find out if these guys are right. The Panthers owner in Madden 21 is Kimmy. Carolina Panthers fan Kimmy. Kimmy has been with us since the very end of Madden 11. He joined us the last season of Madden 11, and then he was with us Madden 12, 13, and 25. Didn't make the transition over on PS4 with us. Has been a rock solid owner in PS4 since then, and we are super happy to have Kimmy back home. I think he's probably been in some restart leagues here and there, and maybe AFL. I don't truly remember like what his path has been with AFL since we switched over to PS4, but just a great all-around owner, a diehard Carolina Panthers fan. I'm stoked that he got his team. Sham, what do you think about this fit with Kimmy and the Panthers?
Another favorite of AFL, never like available for his games, even though he had like the weirdest work schedule out of anybody that was outside of Flip being, in Europe, he had probably the second worst schedule, but he always got his games in. So again, some another plus for the league. Uh, yeah, plus for the league.
Panthers are a lot of fun, man. I definitely disagree with that number 21 rank. I understand how difficult it is to write an article. Anytime you rank anything, 1 to 32 people are going to disagree. I think they are a team that I think right outside that top 10. Just maybe it's the Bridgewater thing, maybe the lack of throwing power there, but he's got some good accuracy. He's fast. I think you can do some things with him until you get another quarterback in the mix. And RVD, how popular were the Panthers in this process?
So far, the Panthers are the least popular of the teams that we've talked about so far. The Panthers were only on 3 total lists. You had them at the number 1 spot with Kimmy, and then 2 other lists had them at the 4 and the 5 spots. And there were a total of 4 other teams that were also on 3 lists.
I'm surprised by that. I would have thought the Panthers would have been more popular, but maybe it's just a thing of losing Cam Newton and people didn't even bother to look at the rest. But yeah, so if you're just now tuning in, we have Kimmy going to the Panthers, we have Pepe going to the Dolphins, we have Goof going to the LA Rams. So 3 teams in the books, 5 more to talk about tonight. And let's say goodbye to the Panthers. And where are we going next? We are going to Pittsburgh, the 17th ranked team in Madden School. I like this team a lot, especially their defense. You talk about TJ Watt, who's a superstar X factor, just an all around beast on defense. Pass rusher, young pass rushers were like gold mines back in Madden 20. I expect that to be the same thing in Madden 21. Bud Dupree's another super fast linebacker. They have some good D linemen with Hayward and Tuitt. Minka Fitzpatrick as a superstar, I think superstar X factor safety. Offensively, they leave a little bit to be desired. Big Ben dwindling down, no longer an elite Madden quarterback, probably just a decent Madden quarterback at this point. And outside of Juju Smith-Schuster, they don't have a ton of talent, although they did draft Chase Claypool, who I believe is the Madden School sleeper player. So I'll read this real quick. You'll want to develop rookie wide receiver Chase Claypool. His size and speed combination make him one of the best wide receivers in your franchise. They also did draft a rookie running back, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now, but I think he's the guy you'll want to develop because neither James Conner or Benny Snell really have any speed. So I think you'll want to just go with the rookie. Magic, the Steelers don't have a lot of options in their uniforms, but what do you think of the options they do have?
There's a whole song based on it, man. Black and yellow. You can't go wrong.
You like them, you dislike them, or are they just kind of there?
I like them. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like them. The black and yellow is a good combo. You're gonna get bored really fast and never ever wear those bumblebee atrocities. Uh, yeah, I like the standard Steelers.
The rookie running back that they drafted was Anthony McFarland. I think as far as the uniforms go, they're kind of like the Packers and the Raiders. They're not going to wow you, but they're just that classic look, maybe the Cowboys, the classic NFL look, where it just reminds you of watching football. They haven't changed their uniforms 1,000 times like some of these other teams. And so maybe there's a little bit of nostalgia there. RVD, how popular were the Steelers in this process? I think the fact that we've already mentioned that they're going to somebody who didn't have them on his list should tell us everything we need to know. But do you have any nuggets for us?
Yeah, they're not going to someone who had them on the list, but they were on 2 lists. They were on 2 different lists at the 4 and the 5 spots. And if you were one of the 2 who put them on your list, if you think about what we're doing tonight, then by process of elimination, you can figure out your team.
Woohoo! Are you telling people to be smart? Because we might have a little bit of a trouble here. But I'm trying to think who put them on their. Whoa!
You okay?
Who was that? Somebody blew up. Um, Let's see. Joker says, I really like the Panthers, but avoided them because of the Kimmy factor. That is, it's very true. I think a lot of people didn't know how to handle these guys getting their favorite teams, especially since we talked about, we might give an edge to guys getting their favorite teams. As we get ready to reveal the Steelers owner, I will say that it wasn't a hard, fast rule that guys get their favorite teams. We did mention that if your favorite team was an elite Madden team or a borderline elite Madden team, it wouldn't be as much of a nod in that direction as we go on to talk about the guy who got the Pittsburgh Steelers in Madden 21, and that is half Buffalo Bills fan, full Arizona Cardinals fan, and for Madden 21, Pittsburgh Steelers owner Luca. And as mentioned earlier on the show, because they're a team that wasn't on his list, we are going to give him the ability to upgrade player development. We looked at the Steelers and said, they're pretty good. He doesn't need to upgrade too much. We're going to give him 1 upgrade. So any player on the Steelers that Luca wants to upgrade, he can bump them 1 development level. So that's normal to star, star to superstar, or superstar to superstar X Factor. Sham, I know Luca's got to be disappointed that he didn't get a team on his list. That's completely understandable, but I feel like he came out of this pretty clean, getting what I think is a very, very good team. I was surprised that they weren't on more lists. And then you throw in a development upgrade to boot. I think this could be one of the steals in the team selection process. What do you think of this fit?
Because he didn't get the team that he everybody knows that he wanted. Listen, to me personally, it sounds like a perfect fit. Uh, solid young pieces, couple of pieces he can trade to get to build them into what he. I don't know. I don't know. Like, at this point, I'm just like whatever. When it comes to Luca, I'm like whatever.
Okay. Well, I like the fit. Luka's a passer. He's got some weapons in Juju and Johnson and Eric Ebron and then Claypool. He can squeeze what he can out of Ben. He'll probably draft a quarterback, I would think. A lot of it's going to depend on who his initial teams were. Luka's list, Cody. I don't think at this point in the team selection process. We're going to reveal what people's lists were. I know Luca's somebody that hasn't been super shy about revealing his list. So maybe if you ask him, he'll tell you, and maybe on the final show we'll let people know what the lists were. I can't quite tell if it's something we should do or not, but it's not something I've talked about with the other commissioners, so I don't want to just freelance it. But it's definitely something that you're pretty much right on, Cody, and which direction he went early on in his list. So yeah, so Luca gets the Steelers. I like that fit for him. He was not happy about it. He did not pull an SJR. He just was not happy about it, but I think he'll be fine. We'll see what happens with his division rivals, but the first AFC North team is off the board with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Speaking of North Division teams, guys, let's go to the NFC North and talk about the Chicago Bears. 23rd ranked team on Madden School. And that's just kind of funny to me because it just it seems like a year or two ago, they were a borderline top five team, talent all over the defense. Um, and I know they've lost Leonard Floyd. I know they've lost Adrian Amos, but it feels to me like a lot of that talent is still there. Khalil Mack is still there. Hicks is still there. Fuller is still there. There's just a lot of pieces there that at all levels of the defense that should make you think that this is Roquan Smith is now there, that should make you think that you can make things happen with this defense. And I understand that Mitch Trubisky is not somebody that's going to excite anybody as a Madden quarterback. Neither is Nick Foles. But Allen Robinson is a very, very good wide receiver in Madden and in real life. I just wish that guy would get a quarterback that could throw him the ball. I think he could do some serious damage in the league. Tariq Cohen to me has always been a very underrated Madden back. Reminds me so much, guys, of Darren Sproles from the early days of AFL, which, a guy that was never rated that high, caught everything you threw to him and just had great speed and agility for the position. David Montgomery's whatever. I think Darren Sproles is going to be the guy for whoever gets the Bears. They drafted Cole Kmet out of, I want to say, Notre Dame, and I want to see what are they ranked here on Madden School. They are ranked 23rd. Maybe Cole Kmet was even the guy that Madden School called out. Yes, sleeper player, rookie tight end. Cole Kmet could be a fun guy to develop. He's a big-bodied guy at 6'6", has 82 speed. Make sure you sub him into your depth chart as a day one starter. Guys, this list is that Madden School printed off. I think it's a very, very good read, especially for what we do. I encourage you all to go look it over. I'm just reading you the sleepers. This gives a good write-up on all the teams, the players, the guys that if the guys at Madden School took over the team, they kind of give you a blueprint for how to go about running this team and getting it up to speed, what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are. It tells you what direction to take that team in to maximize your time there. I can't recommend this article enough, and it is posted in our Madden 21 news um, page or server or whatever you want to call them, so you're not up to speed on what you call the stuff on Discord over there. And then Magic, the Bears uniforms, I think they're okay. I think they do have that classic thing going for them where it does boost them a little bit. But what do you think about the Bears uniform options?
Absolutely not. Play naked if you can.
Hmm.
They're so boring.
Well, when when we talk about the guy who got the Bears, playing naked was one of his favorite things to do in the early days of AFL, but we won't get into that story. Um, RVD, how popular were the Bears?
Well, I've got two words for you. One list. The
Hmm.
Bears only appeared on one list,
Hmm.
and they were only one of four teams that appeared once. So when you look at it, 27 other teams were listed more than the Bears.
So what you're telling me is, since we didn't call out that the Bears were a team that went to somebody that didn't have them on their list, and since they were only on one list, if the person who put them on his list is listening, he already knows he has the Bears.
You are correct.
Well, let's find out who that person is that already knows he has the Bears, and that is another original AFLer, West. Now, back in the Madden 11 days, we all referred to him as Westside Charles. I will say the Bears were the number one team on his list. This is a guy that when AFL started was one of the guys that really helped us get it off the ground. He helped us set up the chat, helped us recruit guys. He was always one of our biggest recruiters, always one of our most active owners. And it was that way until I want to say Madden, maybe Madden 25. And it just, one of those things where adulthood hit him and he started getting busy with work and he had things happen. We've all been there. And then he's kind of been in and out, hasn't really had a chance to come back. I think this new format's going to be great for someone like West, who, when he's at his best, is just one of the most active members you could ask for. Another super nice guy. West is a guy also who, when he, back in the Madden 11, 12, and 13 days, did make deep playoff runs. I think he's a guy who's an aggressive trader. He's not afraid to trade anybody on his roster. He has a vision for what he wants his roster to look like, and he's not afraid to make a big move to get it there. I think he's a guy that's going to play the game enough to be good at it, and he's not going to be anybody that starts any waves and causes any drama. Just a really solid owner to have. I'm super happy to have him back. I pat Sham on the back for finding him out there on the recruiting trail and bringing him back to us. Sham, what are your thoughts on West with the Bears?
Another solid addition. I knew that they were on his list. Um, I knew that they were on his list. It was just he tried his hardest to get it out of me in terms of finding out who was in his list, but I held out on him. But I'm sure he's going to be happy that they're on his list. I mean that he got the number one team on his list.
And I know Trubisky isn't an exciting quarterback, but he has some good traits. He's fast. I think his accuracy is going to leave something to be desired, but I think you can make it work. Maybe Foles is the option, but I think by season two, you just go in there and you draft yourself another quarterback. Or West is the kind of guy that's just going to trade for a quarterback he wants because he's not afraid to pull the trigger. I'm excited about that fit. I'm glad he got the first team on his list. He is, if I remember correctly, a Dallas Cowboy fan. I'm like dead positive about that. He didn't put them on his list. He probably knows there's a lot of Cowboys fans here, and that could have been a bit of a roll of the dice. Went a little conservative with his list, got the team he wanted, and we are all happy about that. And another guy with four letters in his name goes off the board. Guys, let's go. Speaking of West, I didn't do this on purpose, but isn't it great when life just throws you something like this? Speaking of West, let's go to the AFC West. You see what I did there? And let's go to the LA Chargers. We've already talked about one LA team tonight. Now we're going to venture into the top 10 as far as Madden school ranks go. The LA Chargers, they just signed Joey Bosa to a massive deal that we expect will be reflected in Madden. Um, I think, are just a fantastic team. They added Chris Harris. They added Derwin James. They have Bosa. On offense, they still have Keenan Allen. I just there's just not a lot. Justin Herbert to me is a very enticing Madden quarterback to build. I just really feel like there's not a weakness on this team. They made some really strong trades in the offseason or they made a strong trade to bolster their offensive line. They also signed Brian Bulaga. They got the guard from Carolina. Austin Eckler is a very good Madden back. They still have Hunter Henry. The sleeper player, according to Madden School, is Justin Herbert, the quarterback we mentioned earlier. Former Oregon Ducks quarterback, this is from the Madden School article, will compete against Tyrod Taylor for the starting spot this year. If you are smart, you will start Herbert right away and give him maximum amount of time to progress. Magic, nobody's going to touch the Carolina Panthers uniforms. We know that as far as tonight's show goes. How close do the Chargers come to being in that high tier of elite uniform options?
Oh, they're elite. Uh, this is, it's hard to say top five. Easily a top 10 jersey choice. And now these people are really going off about this roster.
Hmm.
Cody says he thinks they stink. I don't understand how that's possible.
He's a Chiefs fan.
Oh, he's
That's
a
all.
Chiefs fan. Oh, he's being silly. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
he's
he
a Chiefs
got me. Anyway, yeah. I mean, no one's going to see the jerseys because people don't watch the Chargers or go to the games, but they're really great to look at.
And let me say this, Magic is our uniform guy. And when Magic isn't playing Madden, he's really just like kind of paying attention to fantasy football, and he's not like diving into rosters and all that. If he's telling you they're good because if they stand out to him, he's noticed them. And I'm telling you, I agree with Magic 100%. They are loaded. There's not much they can't do. They even drafted um, I want to say they drafted one of the faster linebackers in the draft. Just a solid all-around team. And Tyrod Taylor, not for nothing, is still one of the fastest quarterbacks in the game. So you can use that if you want to as your weapon. We do have two Chargers fans in the league. Thank you, Laura. It is Murray, the linebacker they drafted. Laura is one of those Chargers fans. The other one is Joker. You would have to assume that it would go to a Chargers fan. RVD, before we reveal that, how popular were the Chargers in this process? And I'm wondering if people knowing that there were two Chargers fans here deterred them from putting them on the list.
Well, like people were saying in the chat, and that Kimmy kind of kept some people from putting the Panthers on their list. I think the two Charger fans kept some users from putting them on their list because they ended up on only total list. And the most popular of those spots was the number 3 spot.
That can't be right. Weren't they number one on somebody's list?
Laura.
Awkward.
They were number 1, but then the other two
Oh, I
lists they were
got you.
number 3.
Sorry, I
That
misunderstood. Who am I to question RVD? He's keeping all this stuff, and like the data that I bring to the show is everybody that's getting picked tonight has 4 letters in its name, guys. And RVD's got all these analytics, and I'm like, well, wait, weren't they number one? So yes, he did say that. I'm juggling multiple things at once. So yes, they were number one on somebody's list, and without any further ado, that somebody is gonna get their Chargers. It is Lara, the PS4 commish, the guy who helped us on our last podcast where we discussed the abilities. That may have actually been 2 podcasts ago. No, that was last podcast. We discussed the abilities. Another guy that we are just super happy to have from the jump this year. I know he's happy to be in a league where he can just play and not have to worry about making any rulings or solving any fests. He is a diehard Chargers fan. He and Joker are always talking about them in chat. And I'm excited for him to have his team. Sham, I know the Chargers weren't a team that you necessarily looked at because I think you, like many, just we're content to just kind of give them to the Chargers owners, but they are loaded. I think Lara is getting one of the best teams in all of Madden. What do you think about this fit?
uh, well, I've seen him in past versions of Madden. You know, of course, since he's a Chargers fan, have the Chargers. But they really are loaded. I know you and I discussed the team from top to bottom a couple of times before we even got to this point. So as long as they're not in Joker's hands, I'm all for it.
Shots fired. And RVD, I know you're good for more than just numbers. What do you think about the Chargers? Are they one of the I think that number 9, even though it's hard to say top 10 is disrespectful, I think number 9 might be a little bit low. There's not really any weaknesses on this team. What do you think about the Chargers?
No, I'm a huge fan of the Chargers in Madden. I like to watch them on Sundays, but especially in Madden, you've got the new QB, you've got some good wide receivers, a young running back, a good tight end. Defense is solid, and having Bosa there on the end, one just puts that defense already at the top of many others.
Hmm. I agree completely. They have some of the best players in Madden at the D end and in their secondary with Derwin James and Bosa. Um, Glad to have Lara get his top team. Nino says that I guess I'm not the Broncos, or else that would make 31 teams in AFL. Nino, we actually have told Lara that if there's ever a reason why he is going to make you quit AFL, we will just boot you from AFL to save him the headache. So keep that in mind. Only kidding. All right, so let's move on now to the NFC East and talk about the New York Football Giants. I thought Costa might join us tonight, but I know he works early in the morning, so maybe he decided to sit this one out. They are the 26th ranked team on Madden School, and guys, that might even be a little bit high. Um, they have the best, in my opinion, running back in the game. I know people are going to say McCaffrey. Some people might say Nick Chubb. I think Saquon Barkley is the best running back, especially for CFM. Just an all-around beast. But when you look at the rest of that team, yes, they have Ingram. I like Slayton, their wide receiver that really emerged last year. I don't know. Golden Tate and Shepard are eh. We all know Daniel Jones got normal development, which is ludicrous, but it is what it is. There's no arguing it at this point. And then
Good ball.
defensively, they to me they don't have anybody on their defense who's great. They have some guys who I think are good. I think Bradbury's good. I think Dexter Lawrence is good, maybe with the ability to become great. Um, McKinney, the safety they drafted, I thought was going to be somebody to be super excited about in Madden, and then they gave him 86 speed. Just a complete letdown there. Their cornerback from last year is going to be in jail and may not even be on the roster this year. So uh, there's some holes to fill on this Giants team. Magic, is the uniforms for the Giants one of those holes to fill, or do you like the Giants uniforms?
I have nothing good to say about the Giants regarding anything.
Okay, that sounds a little personal.
Overrated bums. I'm tired of people talking them up.
RVD, how popular were the Giants in this process?
They weren't.
Because they're bums.
The Giants were only on one list.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
again, much like the Bears, if you had the Giants on your list, you probably know that you got the Giants. The chat's already starting to guess it, so let's get it out there. Edub with the Giants gets his boys. Now, here's the thing about Edub. He's one of the best players in the league. He's made Super Bowl runs with worse Giants teams than this. I know. Worse Giants teams than this. How is that possible? Think about a Giants roster that didn't have Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, but basically had the rest of this talent collection. I guess they had Beckham, but Edub is a guy that he's going to find a way to maximize this team. He knows how to use his players. They do have, I think, also a 97 speed receiver who is one of their rookies. Um, I don't think he's much good outside of that, but 97 speed, you can find a way to use it. Ingram is the fastest tight end in the game. Um, there's work to do on this roster, but another guy gets his favorite team, which you do love to see. And when you go back and look at it with things like Lara and the Chargers, Edub now to the Giants, Pepe to the Dolphins, Kimmy to the Panthers, four so far with guys getting their favorite teams. Sham, what do you think about your fellow Jersey boy getting his team in the Giants?
Solid move. Like he it's either him or Costa getting the Giants. Difficult eat up.
Magic, what do you think about? I know you said you don't like anything about the Giants. Are you starting to think that? I know you like Edub. Do you wish he would pick a different team, or are you happy he got his team?
I'm happy he's got his team without spending hundreds of dollars on a bad roster.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I forgot about that.
yeah, no, I mean you have a young quarterback. You have Barkley, who in real life might actually be the best running back in the league, which it won't be reflected in Madden, but whatever. It's not he's bad. Um, and you have young receiver. There are things there. It's like, oh, here we go. I got stuff to build, so you could be in a worse situation.
Madden School says the sleeper player is cornerback Darnay Holmes, a raw young guy who could progress really nicely if you land him a development game early. Look for him to make plays early on in his career and help you mightily down the road. Edub, like me, is a two-time AFL Super Bowl champion, and
Like you
I
say,
think,
3 times.
because isn't that what
Well,
Booker T used to say back in the day in WWE when it was good? I thought.
oh my god! Wow, what a throwback.
Hey, you liked wrestling when Booker T was around, didn't you? Or is that a little past your
Yeah,
time?
yeah. He was about the tail end of me liking it. Him and his spinneroonie.
You're like, well, if I'm gonna head out. If there's a guy doing a spinneroonie in the ring, I'm gonna find anything else to do with my time. Um, Yeah, so Edub, I believe, has won both of his Super Bowls with the Giants. And for those of you that don't know, if you're in chat right now, if you ever want to see if somebody's won a Super Bowl, just do exclamation point, type their name, and boom, and it'll tell you. Edub has won two Super Bowls, one with the Giants in Madden 15. He beat Cheesin's Titans. One with the Giants in Madden 17, beat Prime's Titans. Man, he likes beating those Titans. And then you can click on that link. It takes you to his page. There's highlights from his games. If you've won a Super Bowl, you can do hashtag player name. Let's just see if another one works. Let's just type a random Super Bowl winner and see if it works. Oh, boom, look, Josh works. And look, hey, Sham works too.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, we did a basketball league. Magic won that one. So
You did?
Magic,
Whoa!
Jick should work. So yeah, play with that. So we mentioned the fact that Edub beat the Titans twice in the Super Bowl. Let's talk about those Titans because they're the next team up on our team reveal list. The
What a
10,
segue.
you like that? From the Giants to the Titans. Um, I'm the Segway King, Magic. You should know this by now. Madden School ranks them number 20. I didn't really dive into this
Above the
roster too.
Panthers. That's crazy.
I didn't
Sorry.
really dive into this roster too much, but 20 seems kind of low. They did make a run to the AFC title game last year. AJ Brown emerged as one of the better young receivers in the league. Derrick Henry is an absolute beast. Ryan Tannehill had a comeback player of the year type season last year. Is still a fast quarterback, and now he's going to have good throwing ratings to go with that. When you look at some of the pieces they have on defense, they did draft Christian Fulton in the second round. I like that pick a lot. I'm not sure how he's going to rate out as far as Madden goes. They got some good pass rushers. I Byard to me, I went to see the Titans play the Bills this past year. Bills won that game, by the way. And the best player on the field by a mile was Kevin Byard. When he was playing at a different speed than everybody else. He is so much fun to watch. I, to me, he's the best safety I've seen in person. I haven't seen a lot of games in person. RVD, you were at that game too. Um, he was a man amongst boys that day, and it was just so much fun to watch. I mean, it sucked because he was making plays against my team, but just such a fun player to watch. RVD, how popular were these Titans in this team selection process?
Not very popular. They were only on two lists. One owner had them at the number one spot, and another owner had them at the number four spot.
Hmm.
I have a question.
Hmm. Magic, this is going to
Oh,
be one of the first times that I am going to critique your critique of their uniforms. I'm very curious to see what you think of the Titans' uniform options.
Yay! Oh, sorry.
the-
You said magic.
Holy cow.
before I do that, what Ryan Tannehill had a comeback player of the year season? Didn't he come
Essentially.
back from being bad?
Hmm.
Come back from that?
Yeah, he went from bad to average.
I thought you had to like be hurt or something to have a comeback. If you're just bad, you just look, he's competent now. Anyway, the new Titans jerseys I'm not a fan of. I like the early 2000s, maybe 2010s versions. These new ones, just not a fan. So you'll have those as an option. So those are good jerseys. New
What
ones though,
I was just reading the novel in chat. What did you say was the options that you'll have? The old early 2000s?
yeah. Not as far back as the Oilers. That might be before your time. Not Sham's
No,
time.
no.
Uh,
Actually, I was gonna say if you don't bring them up, Sham, we need to educate this man on why these uniforms are so good. He has access to the Warren Moon Houston Oilers jerseys, which what best ever maybe next to the Panthers.
Back in my day, they were the shit.
Hmm. Man, that Oilers team was so cool. I mean, they had at one point I think they had three Pro Bowl receivers and Lorenzo White and Warren Moon, and still couldn't make it past the second round of the playoffs because I don't know. I mean, they had a 35-3 lead on the Bills and lost and managed to lose that playoff game.
Listen, I watched that game and that last play. Oh boy, I watched that game, buddy. And yeah, Hey, listen, I'm not gonna comment, but the Oilers probably should have been in the Super Bowl that year. But hey, listen, whatever.
I've said this to anybody that'll listen. When the Bills made those Super Bowl runs, the one team that they were better than and they played in the Super Bowl was the Giants. They were a 7 point favorite. They beat them in the regular season. They played like dog shit in the Super Bowl, and they still had a chance to win. They missed a field goal. That's the one they should have won. The Redskins team and then the two Cowboys teams were just out of this world better than anything the Bills had. The Bills were very good. That Redskins team and then the two Cowboys teams were just way better. Back in that day, the two best teams in football were the Cowboys and the 49ers. Whenever they played in the NFC title game, that's what the Super Bowl was. And there was just this joke like, okay, who from the AFC is going to come lose the Super Bowl? And it just happened to be Buffalo 4 years in a row, which sucked. The one Super Bowl they should have won was the Giants. The rest, they were just facing a better team. I think that Oilers team, while they weren't as good as the Cowboys, I think on the right day they were capable of beating the Cowboys because of how fast they could score and because of how dangerous they were on offense. They would have had to play a perfect game on defense. I think the Cowboys could have just run them over in the running game, but I think they were the only team in the AFC capable of beating the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. It's a shame they couldn't get out of their own way in the playoffs. But all of that being said, let's talk about who's getting the Tennessee Titans in AFL Madden 21. And the Titans owner in Madden 21 is going to be Chef, another four-letter name. He was on the Abilities podcast a week and a half ago. He is a diehard Titans fan. I think his second team, it's very similar to Luca, where he lives in Baltimore, but he roots for the Titans. Luca lives in Buffalo, but roots for the Cardinals. So the Ravens are kind of like his second favorite team. But Titans are his love. He goes back, he told me, to that Oilers team. So he's been with them since they were even in Houston, which is kind of cool. I'm excited to have him in AFL. I think he's going to be a great addition. He's a commissioner in another league. If you heard him on our Abilities podcast, just a great contributor to that, very educational as far as what he told us about the abilities. He gets his Titans. Sham, as a Jaguars fan, do you have it in you to compliment a Titans fan getting the Titans? What do you think about this fit?
You can have those trash ass bastards.
Ouch. Ryan Tannehill's no Gardner Minshew. Am I right, Sham? No, did
Hey,
you hang up on me?
did you see the clip of him with his hair flowing in the wind when he was walking in the building?
Did he
Oh,
have a mask on?
he did.
My guy. Look at that. I think Minshew might be good. He might be good. I don't know. I don't want to rule it out.
Good football?
It's possible.
Magic. What team do you like, Magic?
I like the basketball.
Did you hop teams after Luck, from his injuries, retired?
Yeah, since I mean, I got nothing. He was my last hope.
You
And
know, I
everyone
won't beat you while you're down. I won't beat you while you're down, Magic. I'll leave you alone.
thank you.
All right, so we have revealed all 8 teams tonight. And before we get off the air tonight, we are going to tell you the next 8 teams we're going to reveal next week on the podcast. Going to shoot for Tuesday. We'll see if we can keep that going. This week it was a little busy for me. Just to recap, we have the New York Giants going to E-Dub, the Carolina Panthers going to Kimmy, the LA Rams going to Goof, Chicago Bears going to West, the LA Chargers going to Lara, the Tennessee Titans going to Chef, the Pittsburgh Steelers with one developmental upgrade going to Luca, the only team tonight that wasn't on somebody's list, and the Miami Dolphins going to Pepe. By my count, Giants, Panthers, Dolphins, Chargers, and Titans all go to somebody who is a fan of that team. That is super cool to see. Guys, before we reveal the 8 teams for next week, any final thoughts on the list tonight? I'll start with you, RVD. Anything stand out to you on the 8 teams we revealed tonight?
I think a big part of the teams tonight, you see quite a few of them going to owners who are fans of those teams. And so you've got two really good teams like the Panthers and the Chargers who are not on a whole lot of lists, but mostly because they expected those teams to go to the owners that are fans.
All right, and Sham, anything for you stand out about tonight's 8 reveals?
Fuck them all.
That's fair. I mean, that's really I think that's a very fair comment you just made. Screw those bastards. Magic, anything
Yo,
stand out to you?
A lot of blue in the jerseys.
It's true. There were a lot of blue in the jerseys. Now, guys, I am going to do something on the fly here. Maybe. Let's see. Rolls. Nope, I'm not going to mess with this right now. But what I'm going to do is when I get off the air, I we all know that okay, when you want to play your Madden game, if you're not just looking at a list of who the owners are, you're going to be like, okay, shit, I play the Rams. Well, who are the Rams? We're going to steal this idea from PS4. It is such a great idea. We are going to make it to where you can either tag the owner if you know who it is, or you can tag the name Rams and it's going to tag that owner. So Goof is going to get tagged as the Rams, Pepe the Dolphins, and so on. Just a really good idea. Makes it streamlines setting up games. But I know guys are just itching to find out who the next 8 teams are that we are going to reveal next week. Let's not make them wait any longer. Let's find out the 8 teams that we are going to reveal next week. I wish we had some like really cool background music to play that was really dramatic, but we don't. Maybe next week we'll throw that in there.
Da, da, da,
Dun
da.
dun boom. The Dallas Cowboys will be in the NFC East. The New Orleans Saints in the NFC South. The Arizona Cardinals, we know they're not going to Luca. We know they're a super loaded team. We're going to find out who gets the Arizona Cardinals next week. The Detroit Lions, a team that many people thought was the worst team in this entire process. The Denver Broncos, maybe Nino goes there and we got to kick Nino out before the season starts. The New England Patriots, the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, that's an LSU picture, but the best player on their team is Joe Burrow. At least that's the reason why you would pick them. And the Indianapolis Colts. Magic, of that list, any of those teams stand out to you as, I guess the Cardinals would probably, maybe the Saints too. Just what team do you think is the best landing spot for somebody?
The New Orleans Saints. Nolans. Have to explain, or is that good enough?
I mean, if you want to explain, it could help, but if you want to
I
make it
think I
good
think
enough,
they're really stacked. I think that team. They have a QB now. They have a QB for tomorrow. They have receivers. They have a running back. They have a great defense. They have no money, but who cares? It's not
who
yours.
who needs money? Money is overrated. RBD, the teams that are listed for next week, which one jumps out to you as an interesting spot that you got your eye on?
There's a lot of good teams to look at next week. One that I'd pinpoint, the Denver Broncos, just a young and uprising team. You've got a lot of good pieces to start out there.
Some really good receivers on that team. In the draft, the guys they drafted, Rager and Judy, are going to be weapons instantly. Noah Fant, great tight end, some of the fastest running backs in the league. And they still got the guy you're looking at, Von Miller, on defense. A lot to work with there. Sham, what team are you looking forward to next week?
Honestly, the Broncos. The Broncos probably were one of the teams. I like. I know that. How are they rated on the in terms of selection? Already like the list. How are they?
Well,
How
you
many
have to
lists were
watch
they
the
on?
you have to watch the podcast next week and find out, Sham.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
Ugh, it's called a
Um,
teaser, my guy.
oh, so yeah. Oh, you said my guy. Wow. All right, my guy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, no, but the Broncos are one of the teams that I felt like were going to go under the radar. So I'm just waiting to see who gets them, and that will determine. I feel like how well they do. So
Do not give away the number, but to give you a hint, they were listed more than any team tonight.
Ooh, that is a nice
mm.
little nugget. Speaking of nuggets, the Nuggets play in Denver with the Broncos. So if I took them, I could attend some Nuggets games virtually. Let's see. Looking at this list, you guys covered the Saints, the Broncos. I think the Cowboys are always interesting. There's just always so many Cowboy fans, and they always have a lot of talent. And just the NFC East historically is one of those divisions that usually stacks up with players who are fans of those teams. If that happens this year, it could be a lot of fun. The Lions will be interesting. Did they make somebody's list, or are they going to be a team that gets upgrades? The Colts. Jonathan Taylor is going to be a problem in Madden. He's big, he's fast, he's physical, he's star potential. If you get the Colts in the hand of a runner, that could be a guy that's superstar potential before you know it. It's Joe Burrow is superstar X factor, so if you get him in the hands of a passer, he he can be a real weapon. And the Patriots, life after Brady, the Patriots haven't been a super intriguing team. Um, Even with Tom Brady, but they still have a decent defense, the best cornerback in the game. And they added a guy, maybe you've heard of him, Cam Newton, to be their quarterback. So could be a lot of fun. We haven't even talked about the Arizona Cardinals, who traded for DeAndre Hopkins, have Kyler Murray, have speed everywhere. When your fourth wide receiver is 95 speed, Andy Isabella, you have a ton of weapons. And they have a rookie linebacker they drafted, who we are going to talk about next week, who might be the new most popular defensive player in all of Madden. So that's all in front of us next week. The Cowboys, Saints, Cardinals, Lions, Colts, Bengals, Patriots, and Broncos. Magic, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Guys,
Okay. Sham, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Fuck you all.
Okay. RVD, any final nice thoughts before we get out of here?
Like cake.
Okay, well, this is one of our strongest outros ever. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Congratulations to the guys who found out their teams. We will see you next week when we reveal the second set of 8 teams. Hope you guys are enjoying this process. We are enjoying bringing it to you, and we will see you next week on Team Selection Podcast number 2.